The sweet sanctuary. Maya Patel's hands never shook anymore, not since the augmentations. She piped delicate swirls of iridescent sugar with perfect precision onto her latest creation, a confection designed specifically for her Andromerian customers' unique biochemistry. The candy shop's windows reflected the neon glow of New Singapore's perpetual twilight, casting rainbow shadows across the antique wooden countertops she'd salvaged from Earth. Almost closing time, Nova, she called out to her young Centaurian assistant, whose crystalline form sparkled as they carefully arranged displays of traditional human candies. The shop had been quiet today, which usually meant trouble was brewing. 15 years of combat experience had taught her that peace was often the predecessor to chaos. The door chime rang, its gentle tone at odds with the figure that stumbled through. A meridian, their normally iridescent scales dulled with dust and what Maya instantly recognized as plasma burns. Her augmented eyes automatically scanned vital signs, elevated heart rate, dropping blood pressure, severe tissue damage. "Please," the alien whispered, multiple eyes blinking independently in pain. They said, "You help." Maya was already moving, cybernetic reflexes carrying her over the counter before the meridian collapsed. Nova quickly locked the front door and flipped the sign to "closed," their crystalline fingers moving with practiced efficiency. "Med kit, back room," Maya ordered, her right arm's synthetic skin retracting to reveal medical scanners. The Meridian's injuries were consistent with military-grade weapons, the kind that shouldn't exist in civilian hands. As she worked to stabilize her unexpected patient, memories of the Proxima War flickered through her mind, the same weapons, different victims, same desperation. "You're safe now," she assured the Meridian, administering a specialized painkiller she kept specifically for non-human physiologies. "I'm Maya. This is my shop, and no one causes trouble here." The last part wasn't just reassurance, it was a promise she'd kept through force when necessary. Nova returned with the med kit, their crystalline form humming with concern. "Maya, there's movement in the alley. Multiple signatures." Maya's augmented hearing picked up the footsteps, heavy, military-grade boots. At least 6 individuals, trying and failing to move quietly. Her temples tingled as her combat systems came online, processors calculating angles and strategies even as she continued treating the Meridian's wounds. "Nova, get our guest to the panic room. You know the protocol." Maya stood, rolling her shoulders as sections of her arms reconfigured, medical tools retracting as defense systems activated. She'd built this sanctuary after the war, sworn to protect any being who sought refuge here. The candy shop was more than just a business, it was a statement that humans and aliens could coexist, could share something as simple and pure as the joy of sweets. The door's security scanner highlighted 5 human forms and 1 drachnid, probably their tracker. The Purist Coalition had been getting bolder lately, but they'd never dared to come this far into the alien quarter. Until now. Maya took a deep breath, the scent of sugar and caramel mixing with the metallic tang of her activated systems. She'd fought in 3 major conflicts across 2 solar systems, earned her cybernetics saving both human and alien lives. She'd built this shop as a place of peace, but she'd designed it for war. The security shutters quietly slid into place as Maya positioned herself behind the counter. Her candy shop had surprised many would-be troublemakers over the years. The beautiful antique woodwork was reinforced with battleship-grade alloys. The vintage display cases were bulletproof. Even the seemingly decorative copper piping could deploy riot-suppressant gas if needed. She picked up a fresh batch of pulling candy, working it with practiced motions as her systems tracked the hostiles outside. They were in for a surprise if they thought this was just another soft target. Maya Patel had learned long ago that peace needed protectors, that sanctuary sometimes required steel as well as sugar. The door chime rang again, this time accompanied by the sound of breaking glass. Maya smiled, her cybernetic eyes shifting to combat mode as she called out, "Welcome to Sweet Sanctuary. I'm afraid we're closed for the evening, but you've just volunteered to help me test some new recipes." The first attacker through the door had just enough time to register the sight of a seemingly harmless candy maker before Maya's defensive systems came online. She'd learned during the war that the best armor was the enemy's underestimation, and she'd spent years perfecting her harmless shopkeeper persona. Time to remind them why even during the worst of the war, no one ever dared disturb a combat medic's aid station. Bitter truths. The first plasma bolt sizzled past Maya's head, leaving a scorch mark on her vintage cookie tin display. The attackers had brought military-grade weapons, just as she'd suspected. Their Drachnid trackers' bioluminescent markings cast an eerie glow through the smoke of their forced entry. "Check your targets," a gruff voice ordered. "Command wants the alien alive." Maya's combat systems identified the speaker, former military, based on his stance and equipment. Her candy-pulling machine hummed quietly beside her, still maintaining the optimal temperature for her interrupted work. She'd learned long ago that the best way to hide her capabilities was in plain sight. "This is your only warning," Maya announced, her voice carrying the authority of someone who'd commanded medical units under fire. "Leave my shop, and we can pretend this never happened." The response was predictable, another volley of plasma fire that her reinforced counter easily absorbed. Maya sighed, genuinely disappointed. She'd spent hours perfecting a new line of gravity-defying candies for the local Jovian children. Her right arm reconfigured smoothly, medical tools becoming something far less benign. The lights flickered, then died, plunging the shop into darkness broken only by the Drachnid's bioluminescence and the red glow of plasma weapons. "What the?" one of the attackers started. Maya moved. Her augmented vision painted targets in crisp relief as she vaulted the counter. The first attacker went down to a precise strike to his carotid artery, unconscious, not dead. She never killed if she could avoid it. The second barely had time to turn before her arm-mounted taser put him down. The Drachnid tracker lunged, their natural weapons more dangerous than any humans. Maya's systems calculated the optimal response, and she met them with a move that looked like a dance step. The tracker's momentum carried them into a display case of specialized alien sweets, and Maya winced at the waste of good candy. "Combat medic," someone shouted in recognition. "It's a bloody combat." Maya's riot suppression system chose that moment to activate, filling the air with a fine mist of modified sugar solution. The remaining attackers' weapons sputtered and died as the crystallizing compound fouled their power cells. "Specifically," Maya said, disarming the leader with a quick sequence of strikes, "I'm Maya Patel, formerly of the 7th Medical Response Unit, Proxima Campaign." She secured his hands with rapid-hardening candy syrup, her own special recipe. "And you're wearing the insignia of the 3rd Eclipse Division. Strange, since they were officially disbanded after the War Crimes Tribunal." The leader spat blood from a split lip. "The war never ended, traitor. You're harboring the enemy." Maya's artificial eyes narrowed. "The only enemy I see is ignorance. I've patched up enough beings, human and alien, to know we're all the same where it counts." She secured the last attacker as her systems detected Nova returning from the panic room. "And I've seen enough combat to know this wasn't just a random attack." The shop's emergency lights came on, revealing the mess of broken displays and scattered sweets. The Drachnid tracker was already beginning to stir, their species was resistant to most sedatives. "Nova," Maya called, "contact Security Chief Rodriguez. Tell her we have some guests who need accommodations." She turned back to the leader. "Now, you're going to tell me exactly who sent you, because I know the Coalition doesn't have access to military-grade weapons without help." The man's defiant expression faltered as Maya's arm reconfigured again, this time displaying medical scanning equipment. "The interesting thing about being a combat medic," she continued conversationally, "is that you learn exactly how the body works. Every nerve cluster, every pain receptor." Her scanner hummed. "I won't hurt you," I took an oath. "But I don't have to make you comfortable either." "You can't protect them forever," he growled. "The initiative is coming. What we built out there, it's coming here." Maya's processors flagged the word initiative, correlating it with recent intelligence reports. Her shop had become more than just a sanctuary, it was an informal intelligence hub for those monitoring anti-alien activities. The candy maker persona was perfect cover for gathering information. Nova, she said, prepare a full-spectrum analysis of their weapons and equipment. Standard containment protocols. Her assistant's crystalline form sparkled in acknowledgement as they began documenting everything. The sound of approaching security vehicles filled the air outside. Maya looked at her ruined shop, the broken displays, scattered candies, and unconscious attackers, and felt a familiar resolve settling in. She'd rebuilt after the war, after losing most of her original body, after watching worlds burn. She'd rebuild again. But first, she needed answers. The mention of the initiative worried her more than she let show. During the war, she'd heard whispers of experimental weapons, of projects that violated every convention of warfare. If those same people were now targeting civilian aliens. Maya began preparing her report even as security forces entered the shop. She had contacts from her military days, people who needed to know what was happening. The candy shop would remain a sanctuary, but it might need to become something more, a fortress, an intelligence hub, a rallying point. The Drachnid tracker finally regained consciousness, their bioluminescent patterns shifting in what Maya recognized as confusion. Why, they asked, mandibles clicking. Why protect them? Maya's hand touched the reinforced counter where she created her candies, feeling the familiar texture of wood over steel. Because sweetness needs to be protected, she answered. Because everyone deserves a place where they can feel safe. Her artificial eyes met the Drachnid's compound ones. And because someone needs to remember that we're all just people trying to live in peace. Security Chief Rodriguez entered, took one look at the scene, and sighed. Again, Maya. They started it, Maya said, already planning how to reorganize the shop's defenses. But I think this time, they've given us something valuable. She gestured to the captured attackers. Information. And if I'm right, we're going to need every bit of it. The war might have officially ended years ago, but Maya knew better. Sometimes the most important battles weren't fought on distant planets, but in small shops on quiet streets, where the future of human-alien relations could hinge on something as simple as sharing candy. Sugar and steel. 3 days after the attack, Maya's shop had transformed. The broken displays were replaced with newer, more heavily armored versions. The vintage copper piping now concealed an enhanced security grid. Even her candy-pulling machine had been modified, its rhythmic movements masking the hum of upgraded scanning equipment. Your caramel is burning, Nova observed, their crystalline form refracting morning light across the reinforced windows. Maya cursed softly, quickly removing the pot from the heat. Her augmented senses had been focused on analyzing the street outside, watching for signs of the initiative's return. The burnt caramel released a bitter scent that made her wrinkle her nose. Third batch I've ruined this morning, she admitted. The targeting system's upgrade is throwing off my temperature sensing. The door chime rang, and Maya's combat systems automatically activated before recognizing the visitor. Security Chief Rodriguez entered, carrying a datapad and looking as though she hadn't slept in days. The weapons analysis came back, Rodriguez said without preamble. You're not going to like it. Maya gestured to a seat at the counter, already preparing the chief's usual order, a hot chocolate with a hint of chili, a recipe she'd perfected during their long friendship. Tell me. The plasma rifles weren't just military grade, Rodriguez explained, accepting the steaming mug. They were prototypes. Advanced stuff that never made it past the ethics committee during the war. Designed specifically to maximize damage to non-human physiologies. Maya's artificial hand clenched, creating hairline cracks in the metal spoon she held. Weapons designed for genocide. That's not the worst part. Rodriguez took a long drink. The initiative, we've connected them to Project Sanctuary. The name hit Maya like a physical blow. Her cybernetic systems registered a spike in her remaining organic part stress responses. Project Sanctuary had been the military's attempt to create the perfect defensive system, a way to protect human colonies from any alien threat. Maya had been one of the test subjects, volunteering after losing most of her body in combat. That project was shut down, Maya said, her voice hard. After what happened on Proxima B. Officially, yes. Rodriguez's expression was grim. Unofficially, it seems some elements continued the research. They've twisted the original concept. Instead of protection, they're focused on elimination. Nova moved closer, their crystalline body humming with concern. The young alien had grown up hearing stories of the war, but this was different. This was present, immediate danger. The shop's door chimed again. A group of alien children, 2 Andromedans and a young Meridian, entered, their faces lighting up at the sight of Maya. She forced a smile, pushing away her dark thoughts as she served them their favorite treats. "They're watching," Nova said quietly after the children left. 3 buildings down. Rooftop. Maya had noticed them too, her combat systems highlighting multiple surveillance positions. The initiative was done with subtle attacks. They were preparing for something bigger. "I need you to evacuate the shop, Chief," Maya said, already moving to her workstation. "Clear the street. Get everyone out." "Maya." Rodriguez started. "They're not just watching. Those positions, they're setting up a kill box." Maya's hands moved with precise efficiency, mixing compounds that were definitely not candy ingredients. "They think they know what I am, what this place is. But they forgot something important." "What's that?" Maya smiled, but there was nothing sweet about it. Project Sanctuary wasn't about weapons. It was about protection. And they gave us everything we needed to protect others. Her right arm reconfigured, panels sliding open to reveal interfaces she hadn't used since the war. The shop's systems responded, security protocols awakening. What looked like decorative sugar crystals throughout the store began to glow faintly. "Nova, initiate protocol Sweet Dreams," Maya ordered. Her assistant's crystalline form resonated in acknowledgement, interfacing with the shop's systems. "Chief, you need to leave. What happens next, you'll want deniability." Rodriguez stood, understanding in her eyes. "Just try not to level the whole block this time." She paused at the door. "Maya, be careful. These aren't just zealots. They're using tech we've never seen before." "So am I," Maya replied, her artificial eyes scanning tactical displays only she could see. They forgot what the combat medic means. As Rodriguez left, Maya moved to the center of her shop. The initiative wanted to see what Project Sanctuary could do. Fine. She'd show them exactly why the program had been shut down, not because it failed, but because it had worked too well. "Nova, begin recording," she said. "The initiative needs to understand something." She touched the counter where she created her sweets, feeling the hum of power beneath the surface. This isn't just a candy shop. It's a sanctuary. And they're about to learn what that really means. The first explosion rocked the street outside. Maya's systems registered multiple hostiles moving into position. But this time, she was ready. This time, she'd show them why you never disturb a sanctuary. Whether that sanctuary served candy or hope, the principle was the same. And Maya Patel had sworn to protect both. The perfect blend. The first wave of initiative forces hit Maya's defenses like waves breaking against steel. Her modified sugar crystals erupted into electromagnetic barriers, the carefully planned geometry of their placement creating overlapping fields that turned the shop into a fortress. Multiple hostiles, advanced combat augments, Nova reported, their crystalline form pulsing with data streams. They're using Project Sanctuary protocols. Maya's artificial heart beat steadily as she processed this information. Through her enhanced senses, she could feel every vibration, every movement outside her shop. The initiative had brought an army. She counted at least 30 combatants, all with military-grade augmentations. They really don't understand what this place is, do they? Maya mused, her hands moving through familiar motions as she prepared her countermeasures. The smell of burnt sugar filled the air as she activated her special defense systems. The shop's windows shattered inward as sonic pulses tried to disable her defenses. But Maya had planned for this. The falling glass transformed mid-air, sugar crystal-infused polymers restructuring into razor-sharp barriers. "Warning," Nova announced. "They're deploying anti-cybernetic measures." Maya felt the first attack on her systems, sophisticated viral code attempting to override her augmentations. She smiled. "They're using my own protocols against me. But they're using the old versions." Her hands flew across her candy-making equipment, each machine now revealing its true purpose. The taffy puller became a quantum encryption processor. The chocolate tempering machine unleashed clouds of nanite-infused vapor. Even her beloved caramel pot was part of the defense grid. The first initiative soldier breached the entrance, their augmented form a twisted mirror of Maya's own enhancements. But where Project Sanctuary had given Maya precision tools for healing and protection, these were weapons of pure destruction. Remember, she heard their commander broadcast, "The alien sympathizer is a failed prototype. Terminate with extreme prejudice." Maya's artificial eyes narrowed. "Nova, activate the gumdrop protocol." The crystalline alien's form resonated at a specific frequency, and suddenly every piece of candy in the shop began to move. Hundreds of carefully crafted sweets, each containing microscopic defense systems, swarmed toward the intruders. A failed prototype. Maya called out as her candies attached themselves to the initiative forces, shorting out their advanced systems. "I didn't fail anything. I just chose a different path." The battle erupted in earnest. Maya moved like liquid metal through her shop, her combat medical training allowing her to disable rather than kill. Each strike was precise, targeting synthetic and organic weak points with surgical accuracy. But the initiative forces kept coming. They had numbers, and they had desperation. A plasma bolt caught Maya in the shoulder, burning through to her cybernetic frame. Another explosion rocked the foundations of her shop. Then something unexpected happened. The door chimed. Through the smoke and chaos, Maya saw them, her customers. Aliens and humans alike, the people she'd served and protected over the years. Leading them was the Meridian she'd saved days ago, their scales now gleaming with health. "The Sanctuary protects us," the Meridian announced, their voice carrying over the battle. "Now we protect the Sanctuary." Maya's artificial eyes registered moisture as she watched humans and aliens working together, using their unique abilities in perfect coordination. A Jovian's natural gravity manipulation contained initiative soldiers. Andromedan energy forms disrupted their weapons. Even the local children had played their part, apparently having spent years memorizing the shop's layout and hiding spots. "Nova," Maya commanded, her systems already adapting to incorporate this unexpected help, "initiate Sweet Symphony." Her assistant's crystalline form began to resonate at a specific frequency, and every piece of defended technology in the shop responded. Maya had spent years preparing for this moment, building a defense system that could be strengthened by cooperation rather than conflict. The initiative forces found themselves trapped between Maya's advanced cybernetics and the combined might of a community they had dismissed as weak. Their superior numbers meant nothing against the perfect blend of human ingenuity and alien abilities. "You know what your real failure was?" Maya addressed the initiative commander as she systematically disabled their forces. "You thought Project Sanctuary was about creating the perfect defense against aliens." She gestured to her diverse group of defenders. "But true sanctuary comes from defending each other." The battle turned decisively. Initiative soldiers found their advanced weapons useless against Maya's candy-based countermeasures and the combined abilities of her supporters. Their choreographed assault fell apart against the chaos of a community fighting for their home. As the last initiative soldier fell, Maya surveyed her shop. The damage was extensive, but the foundations, both physical and metaphorical, remained strong. Her defenders, human and alien alike, began helping each other, tending to wounds and clearing debris. "They'll be back," Nova observed, their crystalline form analyzing data from the battle. Maya nodded, already planning improvements to her defenses. But as she watched humans and aliens working together, sharing stories and helping each other, she realized something important. The initiative had wanted to show that Project Sanctuary had failed. Instead, they had proven its greatest success, not as a weapon, but as a shield. Not as a way to separate species, but as a means to bring them together. "Let them come," Maya said, her artificial systems already repairing themselves. "We'll be ready. And this time." She looked at her diverse family of defenders, "we'll be stronger together." Sweet victory. 1 week after the battle, Maya stood in her newly rebuilt shop, watching the sunrise paint New Singapore's skyline in shades of gold and rose. Her enhanced vision could pick out the subtle changes in the neighborhood, new security measures disguised as decorative elements, communication arrays hidden in seemingly innocent signs, and most importantly, the increased mixing of humans and aliens on the streets below. "The last of the defensive upgrades are online," Nova announced, their crystalline form shimming with pride. "The entire block is now part of the Sanctuary network." Maya nodded, her artificial fingers tracing patterns on the counter where she'd created countless sweets. After the battle, her neighbors, both human and alien, had insisted on helping rebuild. But they'd done more than just restore, they'd transformed the entire street into something new. "Security Chief Rodriguez is here," Nova said, just before the door chimed. Rodriguez entered, carrying a heavy datapad and looking more serious than usual. "The initiative's leadership has gone dark," she announced without preamble. "Our intelligence suggests they're planning something big." Maya continued her morning routine, preparing fresh batches of specialized candies. Her combat systems were always active now, but they no longer interfered with her confectionery work. She'd learned to blend both parts of herself, the warrior and the candy maker, just as her shop had become both sanctuary and fortress. "Let them come," Maya said, pouring precisely tempered chocolate into molds. "We're ready for them." "That's just it," Rodriguez said, setting the datapad on the counter. "Look at this." Maya's artificial eyes scanned the intelligence report, her processors analyzing the data at incredible speed. The initiative wasn't just planning another attack, they were planning to reveal the existence of Project Sanctuary to the public, trying to turn humanity against enhanced individuals like Maya. "They think exposing us will cause panic," Maya observed, continuing to work with the chocolate. "They don't understand what we've built here." As if on cue, the door chimed again. A young Andromedan floated in, their energy form flickering with excitement. "Maya. I passed my Earth history exam." Maya smiled, reaching under the counter for a special treat she'd prepared, a crystalline candy that could safely interact with the Andromedan's energy form. "Congratulations. I told you those study sessions would pay off." Rodriguez watched the interaction with understanding dawning in her eyes. This was never just about defense, was it? Project Sanctuary was supposed to be about protection, Maya explained, her systems humming quietly as she worked. The initiative twisted it into a weapon, but they forgot the most important lesson from the war. She gestured to her shop, where humans and aliens were beginning to gather for their morning treats. "True strength comes from what you choose to protect." Suddenly, every screen in the neighborhood flickered to life. The initiative had begun their broadcast, revealing classified footage of Project Sanctuary's testing phase. Maya watched herself on the screens, her body being enhanced with cybernetics, becoming something more than human. But instead of the panic the initiative expected, something else happened. The Meridian she'd saved stepped forward, addressing the growing crowd outside the shop. "She saved my life," they announced. "When I was wounded, she used those same enhancements to heal me." Others joined in, humans and aliens alike sharing stories of how Maya's shop had become a place of healing, of community, of true sanctuary. Each tale transformed the initiative's weapon of fear into a testament of hope. Maya's enhanced senses detected initiative forces moving into position around the neighborhood, preparing to take advantage of the chaos they expected. Instead, they found themselves facing a united community. "Nova," Maya called, "activate the sanctuary network." Every shop on the street lit up with hidden defenses, but they weren't just protective barriers. Maya had spent the past week teaching others how to create their own sanctuaries. The bakery across the street now had shields disguised as decorative frosting. The alien bookstore's windows contained encrypted communication arrays. Even the street vendors had portable defense systems hidden in their carts. The initiative forces attacked, but this time, they faced not just Maya's shop, but an entire community prepared to defend itself. Humans and aliens worked in perfect coordination, using the defensive network Maya had helped them build. As the battle unfolded, Maya continued making candy, her movements precise and calm. Each sweet she created contained nanite defenders, each recipe doubled as a security protocol. The initiative had wanted to expose Project Sanctuary as a weapon, but instead, they revealed its true purpose, bringing people together. The fighting was brief but decisive. The initiative's forces, expecting to face a panicked and divided population, instead met a unified community armed with Maya's defensive technologies and their own unique abilities. In the aftermath, as Maya served hot chocolate to tired defenders and treated minor injuries, she realized something important. The initiative had failed not because their weapons were inferior, but because they had fundamentally misunderstood what made sanctuary possible. "You know," she said to Nova as they watched humans and aliens helping clean up together, "I think we should expand the shop." Nova's crystalline form sparkled with curiosity. "Oh. Yes," Maya smiled, her artificial eyes soft with pride. "I think it's time to teach others how to make their own sanctuaries. After all," she gestured to the diverse crowd in her shop, "the best defense isn't a weapon or a wall. It's a community that protects each other." As the sun set on New Singapore, Maya's candy shop glowed like a beacon, its light reflecting off the crystalline defense networks now woven throughout the neighborhood. The initiative had tried to expose Project Sanctuary as a threat. Instead, they had revealed its greatest success, not as a weapon of war, but as a recipe for peace. Maya returned to her candy making, her enhanced hands creating new treats for a new era. After all, every sanctuary needed something sweet to protect.